Blackburn
Enterprises.
That was a good show.
Hey, Lovecraft Country.
Watch it. If you have not watched it, watch it.
I think Lovecraft is absolutely amazing.
Ooh, the jewels that it dropped in there. It is history.
Ooh.
It is what else?
Sci-fi.
Sci-fi.
It's funny songs.
It's funny.
It's a musical sometimes.
I love Lovecraft. I think this was so needed in Black TV shows.
I feel like this was absolutely the best.
This was a needed show. It was just so dynamic. It highlighted so many different things.
For the most part, I loved it. Yeah, I really did.
Lovecraft Country. It's one of the best little series that I've seen as far as for black folks or just to get people up out of their regular dating time, you know what I mean? Because, you know, for this, it takes you back in the 1950s.
American Horror Story in black form. I think it's very, it's indifferent. It's hard to put a word on Lovecraft Country.
I thought that Lovecraft Country was number one in all the shows ever.
It is crazy sci-fi. Crazy.
Mixed with
Black history.
Yes. Mixed with
racial
segregation
type.
Mixed with Afrofuturism. Mixed with
such a well-rounded show.
Yeah.
Very good show.
You know what turned me up? And I said this on Facebook too. But on the first episode, and they busted out with some rap song. I said, ain't this supposed to be based in 1950? So where the
they threw me off too.
But I love it because if you think about if Jordan Peele had something to do with, you understand why this thrown up. They are all over the place, and it kept you tuned in each week.
Highlighted so many different things from, it's cool to be smart as Black kids, which you don't really see a lot of. It's cool to do things like reading and be interested in science and engineering and just STEM altogether. Seeing Black people involved in STEM is just amazing.
It fed the inner nerd in me, the inner nerd and geek in me. So I was like, they love to read. I love to read. They no, I'm serious.
So you was relatable to you.
Yeah. They're like, the occult. I love the occult. It was checking all the boxes off for real.
Seeing Black people in STEM was super big to me because I just felt like you saw it everywhere. They were all just so good at just putting two and two together and thinking logically and doing all this. It was just amazing to see, and that it's cool. Because in the show, they didn't make it seem like it was a nerdy thing to do. It was something that genuinely was beneficial to them. And they just made it look, super cool. Like you find monsters. How cool is that?
It was very different. It was very, very different. You would have thought Jordan Peele did it. That's how different it was.
I think Jordan Peele did have something to do with this.
Okay, good. I like everything about the show. I think the only thing that I don't like is I don't know what.
That's the dopest show I have seen in a long time to keep you engaged for all those episodes.
All of those episodes.
Just amazing. The history a part of it. A lot of the big things that they highlighted in history, and the fact that it's based during a racist time, and it's supposed to be this horror movie, and when you think it's horror, you think of the monsters and you think of stuff like that. And really, reality is the scariest thing of it all. Reality and going back to face racism and things like that, and just the unfairness, it not being equal and stuff
colorism.
Like that. Yeah.
The show made a good observation of when black people talk about horror, that's our everyday experience. When white people talk about horror, they make it up. Like,
Yes.
that's pretty much the parallel of the whole entire show. It was like all of the issues that the white people have made up, these are issues that they literally have decided to make up themselves and do it.
That's how horrific America was during that time. That's how much of a horror story. We didn't need horror movies and stuff back then because every day was a horror story.
Yeah.
They talk about racism. They talk about Jim Crow laws. They talk about sundown towns, which we didn't know about. Well, I didn't know about at first, which is where if you got caught down in that town during sundown, you could get hung.
Yeah,
so you had to be out.
Killed,
You had to be out of that town by the time the sun went down.
Right.
And I mean, listen, you know, I'm not a sci-fi person. I don't really, you know, get down with the fate. But I will say this. If you are a black person in America and you have ever wanted to see a big ass puppy eat a white person, you'll like this show.
My dislike would be just not necessarily them showing the racism, but how much racism they actually had to go through. Because even when Ruby got the job, to the reality of it, like this was real life. Just so in your face. It was like the fact that they had to deal with that. And what's crazy is this is the type of shock value that people are looking for to put in their shows and in their movies to get that reaction. All you gotta do is look at real life. That's enough shock for it.
I lived it. Shock. We did it. That first episode had me like, what in the world am I watching? Like, for real, stuff coming out the ground, this craziness. That's the kind of sci-fi I can get behind. Because when I tell you, them puppy dinosaurs came out
in the little chair thing.
And baby, they'll eat them folks. And I'm telling you, I slept good them nights.
Yeah,
I slept good.
They deserve that. Yeah, they deserve.
But where's Mama D? They deserve. Because I was here for that sci-fi. I said yes, yes, yes.
You can't figure it out, or any episode out. So it's always coming with something new. Like you never know where it's gonna go. And even like you were saying from the first episode, you're trying to figure out, okay, what exactly is going on? What's about to happen? What's this gonna be about?
For the black people on the show, however, it was always, not only am I black, I have to deal with white people. Not only do I have to deal with white people, I have to deal with magic. Not only do I have to deal with magic, I have to deal with magical white people who are already making things hard for me in general, like without powers.
Ugh, and that's the worst.
Like being white was a power in itself during that period of time. So I think that's also what they were paying towards.
That period of time? You mean like still
that one?
Just being white itself is magical?
Yeah, that's true. Like, where's our magical Negro powers?
Every time you think that you got it figured out, you see the next episode and it's like, what is the entire?
Right. You're like stuck on the couch for like 2 minutes.
What just happened?
Processing what you just watched.
What just happened?
That's how it is. Like, wow.
Right.
And it talks about how black people have this power that they haven't grasped yet, or they've lost it within their ancestry throughout the years. So, and this thing that white folks, they have this magical power over us. And the thing is, we have our own power. We just lost it along the way. You know, and Atticus and Letitia and them, they just took us down this path of trying to regain that.
It has monsters and, witches and spells. I like that kind of stuff myself. So it was very easy for me to get into Lovecraft Country. And then the storyline of having a historical background, so it kind of takes you on like a treasure hunt. So it's pretty fun and interesting.
The second thing was how effortlessly everything flowed together. The writers of that show are just brilliant. Like, it was just the smallest things. That would definitely be a show that if you watch it the second time, you're going to catch so many small things that connect, and what you could have expected in the next episode, just from these little pieces they've given you.
Yeah. I like how every show you was guessing as to what in the world was going on.
Yeah, it definitely kept you on your toes. I like this show, even though it's not like, but I guess what comes to my mind is like Inception. Like Inception is one of those movies that you have to go back and watch like 2 or 3 times. And a lot of times for these episodes, you might have to go back and watch like 2 or 3 times to be like, oh, that's what was going on, or this is what they was talking about.
Sometimes you have to watch the episode 2 and 3 times to try to
understand. You gotta rewind a lot.
Yeah. Rewind a whole bunch.
And that's another thing too, like the genres, the genres that they are able to bend and blend when it comes to just everything, period. Mm-hmm. It's like there's nothing that you can possibly think of that's that you've ever seen that's like this.
Maybe the Twilight Zone, but
even that though, that's like, that might be like half of or just like an episode. Like each episode has like its own thing. Like one episode might be like the Goonies. You might think of the Goonies. Another episode you might think of some futuristic Back to the
Matrix
Future.
Or something.
You might think of Matrix or Back to the Future. Another episode you might think of some
like a war movie or something.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like Saving Private Ryan or something. Right.
Something like that.
It was exciting to see like Black people take a different approach to horror. Like I really enjoyed it.
See, horror. I mean, you know, when you say horror, it's kind of like, how far are we going?
And the scares. That's another thing. That like I love scary movies. I might not, for people that don't like scary movies, it might be a bad thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is definitely a lot of jump scares and things that make you jump. Oh, one particular episode.
Oh yeah, that was Bobo.
No, that was Mopsy and Lopsy.
That's the Bobo.
That's the Bobo.
Yes, it is. He died and she ran away, and then here they go peeking around the corner because the man put
I don't know, but
that
episode is super creepy.
I like the little kid. She has such a big imagination, but I don't like that they put a hoodoo spell on her, and she started to see like a black and white girl trying to kill her with teeth and claws. Like,
they talk about Emmett Till. They talk about
Emmett Till is definitely a big thing.
Yeah. I remember when I first found out about the Emmett Till situation, and even finding out that was Emmett Till by them talking about a Ouija board. You know, like a Ouija board has nothing to do. Like, I'm sure at that time that they were not playing with Ouija boards. You know, we obviously know that's not a historical moment. But how they turn that into a historical moment while also kind of giving us hints, foreshadowing what's to happen without us even realizing it is amazing. Like, not even knowing Emmett Till's nickname is Bobo, an historical fact they just thrown in there.
They did.
It definitely touched a lot of things. You have James Baldwin comments. You have Bobo, which is Emmett Till. You know, he's down in the basement with the Ouija board and things like that.
That was unexpected. You know, this is just a normal kid who's hanging out with his friends and about to go on a trip. Is he expecting to go and run into something so dangerous? Like, no. You know, he had a life of a normal kid.
Yeah.
So things like those, I just really, really enjoyed seeing how they flowed through the different episodes, but they all just connected.
And they dropped so many nuggets in this show.
Nothing but
like, you may not know that the Emmett Till show is about Emmett Till unless you knew his nickname, which is Bobo.
Right.
And so and there's a lot of history teaching in this show as well.
With Emmett Till, they also later showed when Ruby became the white woman, how that boy who bumped into her, which had nothing to do with him, how bad that could have gone.
Yeah.
Had the white woman not stood up for her, but really was Ruby.
Yeah. So, yeah. They also talk about what we talk about during Juneteenth.
Are you talking about
they burned down the town.
You talking about burning down Black Wall Street.
Black Wall Street.
Yeah, burning the Black Wall Street.
I think my favorite part of the show was showing the Tulsa massacre. Granted, it was a touchy-feely subject, but to see it from, I mean, granted, it wasn't real, right? Just to see it from that part of what was going on, I thought it was pretty dope.
All those riots, man, we had of blossoming Wall Street over there. You know, people hating ass come around, blowing up. They had planes, bombed. We had doctors. They killed the doctor. Man, I didn't like that. But that's just on a historical avenue, okay?
Jordan Peele.
Yeah, Jordan Peele.
He is one of the writers.
He had a hand in here.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jordan Peele.
It was very, very interesting, especially the Camijo. Me and my boyfriend talk about that all the time. That's just so funny.
Atticus, what's his name?
Tick.
I really enjoyed the show, which was just about Tick and figuring himself out through his family after his mother dies, and he gets a note of his father who is trying to figure out more about his mother's side of the family and things like that. And Tick comes to find out that he also has some of these special attributes about himself, or characteristics, whatever, about himself. From his mother, and it's just really interesting to kind of watch his character develop from this fragile little boy who's used to being hit and runs away from his family to a man who started his own family and having to learn what sacrifice is for your family and stuff like that. So great character development.
He embodied what your generational curses can do to you. You know, going overseas to the war to get away from his father, of the abuse, and his generational thing that his father went through when he was a kid. So he inflicted that pain onto him. So Atticus had to go and find himself over in the war, in the Korean War.
He's trying to find his dad at one point. He's trying to find, what the f*** they're trying to find something.
To see him go into the military. Because he described with him and his friend, like, he came here to get away from his reality, and I came here and walked into my reality, and it was really big because the one thing that I've heard majority of my life is the military is no place for a black man. So to say you left America to come fight for a country that's not even fighting for you, it was like a big dynamic.
Atticus, sometimes he was just too controlling. He didn't really know how to control his anger a lot of the times.
For him to find love for the first time, figuring out who his mother was and his ancestry on that side.
Atticus I felt like he was just, for me, to be so in tune with his emotions and to find his emotions throughout the show. I feel like he grew into that, but also like he was such a man, in my opinion. Like,
forgiveness. Well, who forgives in there? Atticus does. He does a lot of forgiving.
All the rituals and things that we've lost, like it's there. We just have to tap into it. And he definitely did that. And he sacrificed his life just like Christ did. Jesus, or however you want to say that. Bingo.
Atticus was a man, because even going to, what's the girl's name? Letty. Even when he like expressed his feelings to Letty, like he made it clear, like, this is what I want. You know, what was in Korea was in Korea, but this is what I want now. And you know, even as he came through things, he wasn't afraid to apologize. Like when he lashed out, and when I tell you, beat the dog shit out of his daddy, beat the dog shit out of his daddy, and he still like went to her and was like, I apologize, like I'm sorry that you see me like that, but I was mad. And he gave her the opportunity to accept that. So I feel like he's like the best description or suggestion of a black man in that role.
Atticus. I liked it. He was smart. He was in the military. I don't know. I just like that they really highlighted his knowledge and him reading books. That's something I've been trying to get into. So that was really relatable for me.
The plot of him inheriting this sort of Mason ritual type thing, you know, and being the head guy of that organization and not even knowing it.
Especially making better of his situation. We all know that his situation where he came from wasn't the best. He made the best out of it and did the best he could, instead of letting it affect him for him to turn out just as violent or drinking you know, abusing alcohol or anything like that, as he could have went that route if that's what he's seen his whole life. He decided he'd rather do what he felt like was the best thing for him to do, and it paid off. It made him a better man.
Jurnee Smollett.
Jurnee Smollett. Hey, she did it.
Yes, she did.
Letitia motherfucking Lewis.
Letitia motherfucking Louis.
Listen.
Man. So there was Atticus, and then there's Letty, and I love Letty. Letty was just like so strong, and she wasn't always that way because she was just finding her way. How we get introduced to our character is just, you know, pretty much like a grown child.
Yeah, like she kind of popped in when her sister was singing.
She had nowhere to live.
Yeah,
her sister knew.
Child.
Yeah, her sister knew, like, you're showing up because you need some money and you need somewhere to stay. And she's traveling with Atticus and his Uncle George strictly to go to her brother and try to stay there. And when that doesn't work, she's kind of being forced to in a situation to grow up.
Yeah,
and
busting the windows out the car. Now, that's what they should have played when she started busting the windows out the car. I pushed your windows out your car. She was not playing with them, child.
No, that was bad. She said that she was bad. Look, and she was a track runner when she was in the woods with those little creatures. I call them mole vampires.
Letitia, she did her family a little dirty. She did.
I love Letty. Letty's a very interesting character.
She was fearless. You know, she did exactly what her mind, like she put her mind to, you know, even for her sister Ruby, you know, and not knowing love and actually finding love with Atticus, you know, and then going down her own little trials and tribulations to find herself.
When she continued to leave them and not really try to have a relationship with them at all, and then what came off to them was only coming to them when she needed something, which it wasn't. She just was a bad communicator at that as a whole.
While it's still happening very quickly, I think that she handled a lot of it well, and showed a lot of, she was the physical representation of a lot of frustrations during that time. Just trying to do better for yourself and just constantly being put down because they feel like if you're black, you're supposed to be down. And so I really enjoyed watching her unleash that side because we just got to see it instead of it being bottled up and us kind of putting up with it. We saw this, like, this is how we actually felt.
His uncle and his aunt, and I don't know anybody's name. And it's bad because I also have the book and I should know this.
Courtney B. Vance, which is
Hippolyta. No,
it's Hippolyta's husband.
There is George and Hippolyta.
I love Hippolyta.
So those are Tix and an uncle. And George is the driver for the Negro Safe Travels guidebook. Yes, the guidebook. Him and his wife, they worked together to create this guidebook for Negroes and safe places for them to travel if they are traveling places that accept black people.
And where not to be, like in a sundown town.
Yeah, Uncle George. Then you have Hippolyta.
Yeah,
that's my girl.
Uncle George. Okay, so I loved Uncle George, but he was giving me mad weird vibes in the beginning. I was like, but what the f*** do you know? What do you know? Cause you just tipping and creeping.
Him and what's
his brother?
Montrose. Yeah, they both tipping and creeping. Tell that boy who his dad is. Is you the father? Is you
it
not
took him
the
way
father?
too long to do that shit.
It was too much.
I hate the uncle had to die. I hope that he can transcend. It's possible because it's Lovecraft Country, so he should be able to like awaken out of the, you know what I'm saying? Because for him to go in there and just magically blow up everybody, I feel like everybody can come back based on what we've seen so far.
Women not being able to follow their dreams because they're supporting somebody else's dreams. And they talk about women empowerment. They talk about
women empowerment is definitely
your own self-identity.
Hippolyta was actually an engineer on her own. She put all of that to the side to be with George and start a family. And the evolving of her character was amazing because we don't see her in that light. We see her as a stay-at-home mom. That's how we're introduced to her.
I like Hippolyta, but it felt like Hippolyta was always trying to like prove something. And I get it because she's a mom. She had a husband who she had to stay like the backseat with.
Yeah.
Hippolyta, that is a bad woman right there, okay? Because she was figuring out the little machine with the 2 sons. Like, she always had a connection of being a genius to me, you know what I'm saying, in my thought process, you know, and reading books. And
Hippolyta, when she was able to transcend into another dimension, like, that was dope. She got to be an African warrior queen, and then she got to be on stage with Josephine Baker. Like, dope.
When she went on her journey and she hooked herself up to that machine, she became the motherboard. So when she went like 200 years within a week. Who does that? And actually find herself being an African American or just an African woman and actually embodying being a warrior, figuring out things. You know, I really love that.
Like, I would love to zoom through time and experience a couple of things myself, you know?
She took the time to truly take in what the women of the galaxy were telling her to basically find herself and who she is. And when she did that, it gave her a gateway kind of to also being able to help others around her because she was confident in who she was and what she was able to do.
Like Hippolyta, like her character, she pretty much has like found sovereignty and she's become her own being. But it shows you like powerful, beautiful, very capable women pretty much are sat down and take the second seat to men.
And she speaks up for herself.
Yeah.
On in the,
and we
but
see that
Georgia's gone.
she's so smart and so well-rounded, and she actually would have loved to be doing all these adventurous things and expanding her knowledge. But she felt as if her job or responsibility was to be at home.
Tradition.
So I love seeing that, her taking charge of her own life.
Montrose.
Mm-hmm. I did not like his character.
Who?
The dad, Montrose.
Montrose,
I
yeah.
was like,
Ooh,
kill him.
Yeah.
Kill him. I was like, where's the monsters?
Oh, and Montrose is
That's my
Tick's
dad.
Tick's dad.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes. He's an alcoholic. Yeah. He's an alcoholic who is battling his coming to terms with his own sexuality, while also battling the fact that he doesn't have a relationship with his son,
Accepting his past.
and that his son might not be his.
Like, you get to see how toxic masculinity plays out in general, like right in front of you, or like homophobia. And you understand why things happen. You realize what type of household he came from or environment he came from. And it's a very beautiful telling of his story. Like, even the retelling, you get it. Everything checks off. And it's like, it's almost like, for the most part, they took a lot of care with Montrose as far as his character development.
The father being gay and him fighting with his sexuality and going to, I'm going to call it a ball because that's what I know from Pose. Going to a ball and having his like aha moment to accept who he is, and then even to go and show his son, this is why I am the way I am, but I decided to be your father over pursuing what I wanted, my needs, my wants, my dreams.
And I think now that that's so big too is because we see so much LGBT representation in a lot of shows that are based on today, where it is a little bit easier to come out and, you know, tell those things about yourself.
Atticus' father or uncle or whatever he is, you know, how he treated him. And because he was gay, he wanted to inflict that pain on his son. So his son would do that, you know. And we're going through all these things, but all he had to do was be himself as he got older.
Montrose, he was very timid with everything he did. And I think that's just because he was holding a large secret rather than just being able to be open about it. Even though this was a time period where that was harder for people.
His dad, who is, secretly gay or whatever, and it seemed like he has a struggle with it, because he still wants to be a dominant force, but in turn he likes men, and he knows that that's not accepted.
His character, genuinely, you want to hug him. Like, you really want to be like, oh.
So you fell in love with him?
Yeah, like, because he's an interesting character. He's to be honest, the character is very stereotypical and very very textbook in regards to how he plays and like how he plays out and everything. It's just the fact that we're able to see it.
And this show is set during a time where, you're scared to even be black,
let alone be gay.
To also come out and be like, hey, I'm also different because I also like the same sex, is super, super big. So I feel like that was super good to touch on, a lot of our grandparents, great grandparents that may have had these feelings, how hard that must have been for them to hold that in and pretend to be something you're not. Like, Montrose had a whole kid, knowing that I don't really love women as a sexual partner, as a lover, as anything like that. And so I mean, I think that was just really big.
I feel like Montrose had a good arc as far as like redemption. You got to see, like I said before, like you got to see how and where his character went and like how he got there. Like his story is really sad and beautiful.
Oh,
like
Chris
Ruby?
Will. I like Ruby.
Girl, kept taking that damn potion so that white woman could pull up
she was, bless her heart. Ruby, bless her heart.
Oh, hell no.
Ruby, she really fell into the devil's trap.
Ruby wanting to be a white woman, and then when she was able to be a white woman, she sees that being white is not always cracked up to be. Being a black woman is better. You get more respect. You get more support. You're not looked at as a crazy person.
She basically teamed up with Christina, and instead of drinking the blood of Jesus, she was drinking Omen's blood. So, I mean, it is what it is. She wanted to be something that she was not, and she claimed that she was using it for good, but not really. She just used it to get what she wanted in a different body.
I mean, who really liked Ruby? Who really liked her? So I didn't like her.
I just completely Ruby blew my mind when she really gave in and continued to be with somebody who wasn't even who they were either. At that point, you just know she don't even know who she is, because
I think she's dead. They have not officially said that, but
they said that he killed her. He did. They said that they killed her. We don't know.
To use her for the ending of the show. I'm not gonna spoil that because it's big, but I think that she's dead now.
Her whole phase of turning into a white lady and doing white lady things, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of conflicted her in her perspective per se. So she kind of gets a glimpse of it from both sides. So I don't know if she's conflicted in spirit or still feels as dominant in the black community as she was.
Ruby just genuinely was like, okay, I don't have children. I don't have any responsibilities. If I'm given the opportunity to do what I need to do, or
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, or get what I want to get, I'm gonna get it.
In the beginning, I really did like Ruby.
In the beginning, yeah.
Her insecurities, I think, kind of got in the
That's
way
okay.
as the show progressed, and I was just kind of like, okay, sis,
Yeah.
I want to be Team Ruby, but you're doing a lot right now, and you take that potion one more time.
I didn't like that they got rid of Ruby, or well, maybe they did. We don't know.
She really accepted dark magic at that point. It's not even used for good. She was having relations with someone that was not who they were, at the same time she was being someone that she wasn't either. So she deserved what she got in the show.
I honestly like Christina, only because Christina is a really good character. As far as because I'm a writer, and I enjoy plot twists and things like that. So like, as far as a writer, or a person who enjoys characters, you want a person who is very duplicitous.
Then you got Christina.
Christina.
Not black, but
Yeah, she's in on here.
she's big.
And I don't know if
Big
I can
character.
trust her or not.
No, we don't. Ooh, Christina.
From the very beginning, like when you meet Christina, she's just like, oh, it's always a man's club. It's always men.
It also shines a light on black and white issues in the 50s and 60s, and I think we still see some of those situations today.
How like Ruby decided to still stay with her, and how like Christina obviously, like I feel like the way they showed it and the subtlety of it, like I believe Christina honestly was in love with Ruby. Mainly because she's very because she's duplicitous and very, very she's very much a person like a means to the end type of person. It's like, I don't care.
When Atticus was with the Korean lady and she became the fox dragon demon lady, I didn't like that.
What was she?
She was a nine-tailed fox.
And what's a nine-tailed fox?
It's a spirit, or it's a succubus. So in different.
What is the succubus?
For all of us that demon that uses her sexual prowess and sex to just suck the soul out of men.
Camille was the girl who was cursed to where if she had sexual intercourse with a man, she would basically see their entire lifespan and kill them. However, when it came to Tick, she seen that it didn't end with her, and that's what made it intriguing.
I mean, she had these antlers come out her back doing sex and was killing dudes. Like, it was crazy. Crazy. But somehow he managed to live through the fact that her antennas was in his eye sockets. Like,
Myths are where she has to kill or take the soul or eat the liver of. It just depends on different stories. But essentially, it's always, you have to pretty much capture the heart of a man. Okay. So, yeah, in order for her to become human. And
So how many? Thank you. That was my next question.
100.
who thought of that? You know what I'm saying? Who thought to put in a sexual killing machine? That's pretty much what I call it, the sexy killing machine. Like, so.
She looked into his soul, looked into his future. I definitely didn't like that. Those tentacles coming out.
And I guess if she reached a certain amount of souls, she could go back to being herself or whatever. But it seemed like she was starting to be okay with being the soul-sucking sex lady with the antennas. I don't know. That kind of freaked me out. I ain't even gonna lie. Okay, let's talk about something else. Let's talk about something else.
I did like the fact of when everything was happening, how they actually showed that, hey, as Diana, I'm being a little neglected and nobody's really here for me, and how that led to her demise.
And then we got Dee, who's the monster slayer now. I don't know what she
Oh
did.
my God, yes. The girl that chewed her arm out, I said, Lord, are y'all gonna put her arm back together? It was to the point where it was life or death because of the neglect that she was feeling from the entire family. Everybody was wrapped up in one thing rather than making sure everybody was safe and okay. And this is derived from a book as well. So.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did come from a book, and certain things from the book were changed or whatever. And so I like that. You know, if I was a person that read the book, I would at least want to be surprised. So the way they switch some things up just to make things different from the book, and just not just take the book and make it a movie. You know what I'm saying? So they were definitely creative with that.
Yes.
My dislikes, I feel like it was rushed. Like, I felt like at the end, it very much, at least for me, it read, okay, let's type all the strings in case it don't read us at the end. Because it's just, I feel Christina was a good character, and it doesn't seem right for you to get rid of a character that's that good that quickly.
I like the whole mystery they went on to kind of find the Book of Souls or whatever that was.
Book of Names?
Book of Names, Book of Souls. It's Lovecraft Country. I mean, it fits.
Just takes you everywhere, around the world, and like I said, full circle. Just like you can do a 180, you can do a 360. Which one do you want to do?
It kind of, shows us how, jobs and things came a little easier to particular races, and how neighborhoods would go against a African American moving into their neighborhood or whatever. So it definitely highlights a lot of current world views and adds monsters to it.
Somehow I gravitated towards the side or minor characters more than I did the given major character or the main characters. So I wish they would have given, and I get the point, but I wish I would have gotten more information about the other characters.
Yeah, so much happened in Lovecraft Country. It wasn't but 10 episodes, and I swear for Lord, everything happened.
It's very interesting. It had moments where you could laugh, moments where you could cry, moments where you was mad for real. It had all of that.
But what I did like about it, like I said before, it actually gave us a purpose to actually better ourselves. Make sure you have the ability to change your family tree. It's all about you today and tomorrow. Make sure you tell the next generation, hey, today won't be like tomorrow, okay? Because it can be better. Always move ahead. Success. Be blessed.
I see people saving the day for Black people.
Mm-hmm.
Why? It's just not coming in 2020.
Yeah.
I mean, where has this been all my life?
Yeah, somewhere brewing.
Loved it.
This better be number one, bruh. This better be number one. I don't care. Bump all that. This better be number one. It better be number one.
Yeah. Top 5.
Chad, I don't even want to know because them people that y'all is gonna tear me up.
I mean, Insecure wasn't number 1, so this gotta be number 1.
You look at me like I'm crazy. Number 1. Better be number 1.
Number 1. And anybody that voted less than your mom's house. I would say number 1, but I gave it to Insecure. So I'm not gonna say number 1 because I gave that to, and Insecure got it because they have multiple seasons and all their seasons are amazing.
It gave me a lot of joy this year, so I'm going to give it a 2.
This has 1 season. The first season was great, and it was so good that I'll probably give it number 2.
Okay, now I'm gonna be honest. I seen the list, but I ain't look at the whole list. Okay, but for me, Lovecraft Country, I would say about 1, 2. For me,
3. I think it should have fallen definitely in the top 3, maybe top 2.
I like to see us Black people as gods, and people who have the ability to change the world.
I said 2.
No,
but he said it better be
ands
one
or buts about it.
So I can't argue with that.
It has to be number 1. I'll be okay with Insecure not being number 1 if Lovecraft Country is number 1.
Like I said, it was very different. Nothing that happened in the season you would have expected. Nothing at all. It was completely a shock every single episode. So it did leave us wondering what's gonna happen next time because it's just getting crazy.
Don't give us no bullshit.
Anything past 5.
Don't give us no
We fight. A good solid 2. Maybe even 1. I really don't have a 1. I don't have 1. But so I guess technically.
Wow, I can't believe it's number 3.
Like, for real?
That's interesting.
For real?
Very interesting.
I was almost right about all of them. They was all top 5.
Okay, that's cool. I'll take that. I'll take number 3. Nah, listen.
Okay. Good job, Lovecraft Country.
I mean, you can't be mad. I mean, I guess, I'm
I
mad.
knew it was in the top 3.
I mean, at least you're in the top 3.
Dang.
I mean, but really,
It's such a good show, such a rich show. I think who voted probably never seen it before.
The most diverse.
If they saw it,
this is the
most diverse show.
The most diverse.
Yeah.
I'm proud of myself because, you know, I know good TV when I watch it. The rest of that shit, nah.
Sexy Korean lady with tentacles coming out her body.
She was, man.
Like, her.
It's only because those people don't understand the occult and how beautiful it was put together. It was beautiful.
Man, look at that. Wow, mind blowing. Let's get it.
Oh. Okay.
You deserve it.
Like when it comes to
Everything. It has everything.
Everything,
Yes.
period. Every type of genre.
Whoever
Three.
these are the people that voted in the election. I bet you. I said what I'm
Talking to
saying.
you.
They got robbed. They were robbed.
I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong. I think it's because it's different. Maybe it ain't the traditional, nigga the traditional gangs and all that. So I get it. Yeah, I agree. Lovecraft Country. Yeah.